And good day, Gales. I'm Rocky DePala, joined by Gregor Hope Murray. And today, Gregor, the Giants actually won a game last night. Can you believe that?
I can't believe it. It was about damn time, to be honest. The 0-2 start really should never have happened. They could very well be 2-0 at this point. And it was unbelievable that they had started out with 2 losses when they had 10-point leads in both games. So thank God last night that they actually pulled out the win.
Was there any thought that the Giants may have blown the game last night? Did you think, oh, they're going to blow it again, or not?
There was a very small point in the game at the very end there where it's like, could this really happen a third time? Like, I didn't want to believe that it could happen, but my God, was it looking like it could happen again.
And it's so odd that, knowing Tom Coughlin, that how disciplined he is as a coach, that they blew 10-point leads in back-to-back weeks. But you could not have happened a third consecutive week in a row. Could not have happened.
Yeah, no, if it had happened a third time, I would have just written off this entire season for the Giants.
Heads would be rolling if it happened last night, but fortunately it didn't.
Because the only way to explain that sort of thing happening 3 times in a row is to say that the team itself is bad, or the coaching is bad. It would have to be recognized that it will be a bad team this year. And it going on.
Sure looks like that, though, despite the win last night.
Well, with the win, we have to keep in mind that they did have the chance to win those other games. So
right.
They could very well be 3-0, but they're 1-2. And let's not pretend that their division exactly is that hard. They could very well do well this season.
But keep in mind, when a team blows for 2 consecutive weeks a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, you got to figure, hey, that team's either not disciplined, not well coached, or just plain terrible. Simple as that.
I would agree with you generally in the middle of the
Giants are not, in my opinion, are not a good team.
I mean, yeah, generally in the middle of the season, I would be right there with you. But this is the beginning of the season. This is where all of the mistakes are allowed to happen as long as you somehow fix them. And that's the key thing for the Giants to do here is fix those mistakes that they're making. Last night was a step towards that, so I'm not going to write them off just yet on saying that they're a bad team. I will say that they have the potential to be at least middle of the road, and maybe even, if it's capable, win their division, because the Cowboys are banged up, the Eagles are 0-2, and the Redskins are now 1-2 also, just like the Giants. They have a very good shot at winning their division still.
But you got to keep in mind that, the first 2 losses of the season, if the Giants were to make a run in the playoffs, or make a run for the playoffs, that those 2 losses at the beginning of the season might hurt them.
Oh, most certainly. It could very well hurt them in the playoff run but let's face it, those 2 losses were against divisional teams, and that hurts the most out of any other win or loss that you can take. Losing divisional games is not acceptable, and they need to make sure that they now sweep the board divisionally if they're going to make it through. But for them, I don't think that's too far out of the question. I don't think that's an unattainable goal for them just yet.
Well, let's see what happens when they play the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo in Week 4. Now, on to the Jets. They're 2-0. They're playing phenomenal defensively. They're going up against a bad Eagles team. What can we see from the Jets on Sunday?
So for the Jets, I would expect them to see them continue to dominate defensively. The Eagles' offense has looked absolutely dreadful so far, and if they
horrendous.
Horrendous. It's unexplainable what Chip Kelly has done to that offense. Where you say, what happened to this, unpredictable offense that's meant to be, going attack, and it's doing nothing. So the Jets should be able to maintain their dominance defensively, especially against that kind of offense. Now, unless Philadelphia turns around offensively and all of a sudden starts producing points out of nowhere, then it should be a sure luck for the Jets to keep this a low-scoring game.
And what I witness is that DeMarco Murray, he's struggling. He's not the DeMarco Murray that we saw with the Cowboys in prior years.
Yeah, no, DeMarco Murray should be locked down yet again this game. It's unfortunate for him because to go from having these good chances to run for a lot of yards to having to face a top 10 defense like the Jets, he's not going to get a lot of yardage yet again this week, and it's going to probably really sting to realize that he's not doing as well as he was last year.
Especially if you have Muhammad Wilkerson and Leonard Williams in there, and Snacks, Damian Harrison. In a reference to South Park, if he only had 2 yards on 13 carries against the Cowboys defense, he's going to, in reference to South Park, he's going to have a bad time. He's going to have a bad day.
Yeah, he will. Now, the only problem I see for the Jets, though, coming up is them offensively. I do still worry a little bit about Fitzpatrick. I watched him in Buffalo. I've watched him in other places, and he doesn't always remain consistent, and you need him to remain consistent. The Eagles' defense can play extremely well at times, and if they show up on Sunday, he needs to make sure he does not turn over that ball. If he turns over that ball, it could very much put it on an uphill battle for the Jets.
Well, Fitzpatrick's been a journeyman quarterback, so he's prone for turnovers and numerous mistakes. But so far, even though it's only 2 games, he's looked sharp.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing with Fitzpatrick. That's how he got his big deal in Buffalo, is he got paid tons of money after he looked good for just a few games in a season, and then all of a sudden he just dropped right off the face of the earth. And that's the problem with Fitzpatrick. He's inconsistent, and I'm just waiting to see when that inconsistency will show up again.
But I think the difference with Fitzpatrick being on the Jets as opposed to his other teams is that the Jets, they run the football efficiently, and they play phenomenally on defense.
Yeah.
Because I don't think in his career he has had a great running game and a solid defense.
That's very true, and that's what the Jets need to make sure happens, is that if he's struggling this Sunday, they keep the ball away from him and they keep running that ball. They can't deviate from that game plan, and as long as they stick to that game plan, they should win this game. But anytime that he does have the ball, he needs to protect it.
Well, I feel confident in the Jets and that they're going to beat the Eagles, because the Eagles are in just complete disarray.
Oh, no, I'm totally with you there. I will totally pick the Jets this weekend to beat the Eagles. I'm not going to say the Jets are going to lose it. I'm just saying they need to be careful, because if they start playing softly against a team that is 0-2, they could end up giving that team their first win.
Right. So we'll see what happens come this Sunday. Have a great day, Gales. I'm Rocky DePaola.
I'm Gregor Hope Murray.